welcome to another Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. This is the sports show devoted exclusively to St. Mary's University and its athletic programs. I'm Dean Beckman, joined by Sports Information Director Donnie Netto, and here for another Cardinals Nest. Mid-October already, Donnie, so some of the fall sports teams have already concluded their seasons, and others are just starting to wrap up now. And one of those teams starting to wrap things up is volleyball. They have the last home game on Wednesday night, and we have Alex Peterson, one of the seniors, joining us on today's Cardinals Nest. That'll be coming up in a little bit here.
Yeah, that'll be fun. You know, back when we were doing the Cardinals Nest before we resurrected it this year, we'd have student athletes come on, and I think it's really nice to get them on and kind of talk a little bit about the person, not just necessarily what they do on the court or the field of play, but you know, the person, find out their majors and what they're going to plan on doing. And like you said, with Alex being a senior, it'll be fun to see what she wants to do when she grows up. So it'll be an exciting segment. I'm really looking forward to it. And before we go any further, I need to say my condolences to your St. Louis Cardinals. I'm sorry that the Cubs beat them, and I'm just happy that you still have a smile on your face.
Yeah, I do, and I'll tell you, working at St. Mary's is a wonderful thing. There are tons of benefits, except for the fact that there are a lot of Cubs fans.
And there's actually more now, I'm sure.
Right, there's more now than ever. But yeah, they certainly deserve to win. So that made things a little bit easier.
Well, I know when we were talking before last week, you had said if the Cardinals had to play the Cubs, you were worried about St. Louis because you thought the Cubs were the better team.
Yeah, the better team and the hotter team, and that's what postseason baseball is all about. So we'll have Alex on in just a little bit, Alex Peterson, and you know, the volleyball team, the North Central Invitational was this past weekend, and a rare weekend when the volleyball team didn't come out with a win. But you look at the competition that the volleyball team faced, and a lot to build off of this past weekend.
Yeah, I think if you asked Alex, she'd probably say that's a weekend that she'd like to forget because they did go 0-4. But I think that when you start talking about silver linings and learning and continuing to improve, the competition that they played at the North Central Tournament is probably the best that they'll play all year long. You've got Co and North Central, two very good regional teams, and then they play Carthage, ranked number 11 in the country, and then Washington University out of St. Louis, they're ranked number 1 in the nation right now. So you're playing some of the best competition you can, and you know, sometimes you can get better by losing, and I'm sure that, you know, Coach Lester is thinking that, you know what, yes, we would have probably liked to have gotten a win or two there, but you know, you can learn a lot from those losses, and now they really have to focus on the stretch here with the conference play and trying to you know, they're still in the hunt for a conference championship, and I know that right now that's what their focus is, and really their focus is Wednesday against Augsburg, and then next week.
Right, hard to believe already. Wednesday's game was the last home game for the volleyball team. The rest on the road, so they've got a tough finish to the conference season.
Absolutely, and as Mike has always said, it's very tough to win on the road in this conference. So it's going to be a big test for them. They've got some very tough matches ahead, and I know that, you know, Mike likes to preach too that they can't look ahead. I know that they've got Gustavus still on their schedule. Gustavus is unbeaten in the conference right now, the team to beat, and I'm sure that you know, I can hype that up, but they've still got matches before that they really have to focus on, and they have to really take it one match at a time. In our conference, you can't afford to have an off night and lose a match that maybe you really should have won.
Right, and that Gustavus matchup is the last game of the regular season. So if you're the Cardinals, you want to make sure you have a playoff spot already sewed up and locked in before you get to that game. Also meaning that that would make that game kind of one of those situations where it's a no-lose situation, right? Because undefeated team, you get a chance to knock them off.
Absolutely, and you know, it's going to be an exciting last couple of weeks of the season for the Cardinals, and I know that they are. You know, again, despite the 0-4 showing, they're playing very good volleyball right now, and I think that that's the thing that you know, that you have to continue to focus on is that they're playing very well. They're very deep. You know, and you look at some of the individuals that are kind of stepping up. Maddie Hess has been playing very well of late, and really the person you need to give a shout out this time to is Lex Krogstad. You know, we've talked a lot about her this year, but she eclipsed the 2,000 dig mark at North Central, and she's got 2,008 digs right now. She's closing in on Teresa Perini's school record for digs. She's about 140 shy right now, so it's going to be really close. And I think that, Coach Lester really brought up a great point when we were talking about that, in that when Teresa set that record, they were playing their sets were up to 30. Now they're at 25. So you're taking away, so many rallies, so many opportunities. So, what Lex has accomplished is really pretty phenomenal, and well deserving of some recognition for that honor.
Right, and I'm sure, you and I both know Teresa Perini pretty well. I'm sure she's rooting for Lex because Teresa's just a great person.
Absolutely. Mama T would just love to see Lex break that record. And, it's kind of fun to have somebody that's had such a great career really be able to pursue a record like that. And I'm sure, as Alex might attest to, as Lex would certainly attest to, it's not about the individual accolades. It's about what they can do as a team. But that's kind of my job is they need to be singled out, and they need to be patted on the back and recognized for outstanding achievements, and that certainly is one of them.
Yeah, that's one of the things I think you and I both love about the Cardinals Nest. It does give us a chance
Absolutely.
Not only to point out the team accomplishments, but some of those individual accolades.
Right.
As well.
We've got great student athletes at St. Mary's, and their stories deserve to be told. And again, as we were preluding to, it'll be fun to have Alex here to kind of tell that story. And I'm sure she's got some stories she might want to tell as well. So that's the fun part about this show.
All right, let's turn now to women's soccer. And Donnie, in this past week, the women's soccer team went 1-1 as they knocked off Hamlin 2-1 before falling to McAllister 2-0.
Yeah, big win against Hamlin. It was one of those that Coach Cassidy's always talked about this team and how they refuse to give up and they refuse to throw in the towel. They're down 1-0 with about 10 minutes left in that game, and then they get two goals, one from Maddie Walraff, one from Bridget Leverich, and come away with the 2-1 win. Unfortunately, momentum did not carry over into Tuesday's game against McAllister. They did lose 2-0. Aubrey Cornell did everything she could do in goal to keep the Cardinals in it. She had 12 saves, which is one shy of her career high. So a great performance from Aubrey. Just offensively, they couldn't get anything going.
This Saturday is senior day for the women's soccer team. It's not the final home game, but it's the final weekend home game. And there are not tons of seniors on this year's women's soccer team, but I sort of see this as the recruiting class that kind of change the culture and change the attitude a little bit around women's soccer.
Absolutely, and we talk about this every time we talk about a senior day, and it's a bittersweet time, and I know that Coach Cassidy will be trying to make sure everybody stays on focus, on task of playing St. Olaf and beating St. Olaf, but it's a time to celebrate your seniors, and you're right, this is the class that has really started to turn this program around. And you've got to look at Carolyn Blackwood. We talked a little bit about her last week, and in leading this group, and there's 6 seniors that are graduating, including one that technically isn't a senior, in Viv Johnson, who will be moving on to grad school next year. So it's a great senior class, and I think that the success that this team is experiencing this year, a lot of it goes to the hard work that this senior class put in.
Yep, no question about it. Now in men's soccer, they too went 1-1 this past week. They beat Bethany Lutheran by the score of 1-0 before falling to Hamlin 2-1 in conference play.
Yeah, Chris Trussell gets the winner against Bethany Lutheran, and then James Larson scored first for the Cardinals against Hamlin, and unfortunately they gave up two goals after James' goal to lose that game to Hamlin. And we talk a lot about the importance of offense. In soccer, if you can score 2 goals, you're going to probably win the majority of your games. St. Mary's has played their last 5 games, they've had 2 goals. So they need to get that offense going, and they need to get it on track. And I know Coach Watkins is kind of like every other one of our coaches right now, in that the conference schedule is there in front of them now, and they've got to make sure that things are going and they're kind of clicking on all cylinders, and they need to get that started on Saturday against Olaf.
Yeah, they've got about 3 more conference games left, but still one more last non-conference matchup, November 1st. you're going to be outside keeping stats, Donnie, against Finlandia.
Yeah, it's going to be a little chilly out there November 1st. So thanks, Coach Watkins.
Right.
I appreciate you scheduling.
I don't remember the men's soccer season going this long.
No, usually usually it ends right around Halloween.
Right,
and I know Coach wanted to get one more non-conference game in. Finlandia was kind of in this area because I think they're playing St. Olaf on the 2nd.
Right.
So they scheduled that game, and it'll be a good chance for for Coach Watkins to kind of celebrate his seniors. That'll be their senior day. So it's going to be a little chilly out there.
And finally, Donnie, in this segment, in cross-country action, the University of Wisconsin Lacrosse Invitational coming up this weekend. And as Coach Barrett, who was on our program last week, explained, he likes kind of that 2-week layoff to give his runners a chance to rest and recover. And so now they'll be back in action in lacrosse this weekend.
Yeah, we were talking off camera. I was talking to Coach Barrett this morning, and he was really excited about this weekend. It's a huge meet. A lot of the conference schools will be there, so it's kind of like a last tune-up. They've got the conference championships in 2 weeks, so this will be their last chance to have a competitive race before conference championships. I know that they haven't really competed in the last 2 weeks, so I think it makes the athletes maybe a little hungrier to do well because they don't compete every week, and it's hopefully going to be able to keep the Cardinals healthy, which obviously is a big key. So we'll see what happens, and I know that Jovan Newsom and Austin O'Hara have been running really well, and so Coach Barrett's going to be looking for them to lead the way again for the guys up at Jim Drew's.
And as you mentioned, the conference championships coming up in 2 weeks, October 31st. Now that's a scary thought, but that's when they are this year. All right, stay tuned here to the Cardinals Nest. When we come back, we'll bring in Alex Peterson from the volleyball team here on HBC.
Join HBC Sports' Extra Point one-camera coverage of high school football and soccer throughout the fall, presented by Lewiston Auto. In addition to our Football Night Crew broadcasts, Extra Point will bring you 8 games from the gridiron and 9 games from the pitch. For the full slate of games, simply visit hbci.com/sports to find out when your team will be on the field. That's Extra Point coverage of HBC Sports presented by Lewiston Auto, all fall, only on TV 25.
We chose HBC because they're a local company. They have a big audience in Winona, which is the geographic group that we're looking for. Mel is very easy to work with. She's genuinely concerned about how our money is being spent, and she does everything she can to make sure we get the most for our money. She takes care of us. So whenever there's a problem, which is rarely, I know that I can go to her and she's going to take care of it.
To see how HBC advertising can help your company, call Melanie at 507-474-5802.
HBC Sports has your volleyball fixed this season as your exclusive home for St. Mary's volleyball throughout the fall. The 2015 Cardinals will look to build on an impressive 20-13 mark a year ago, and you'll get to watch it happen with 5 matches brought to you live on TV 25. For the full broadcast schedule, simply visit hbci.com/sports for details to find out when the Redbirds will take the court. That's St. Mary's volleyball all season long, only on HBC Sports.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donnie Netto, and Alex Peterson, outside hitter for the volleyball team, joining us. Alex is from Harmony, Minnesota, so we'll ask her more about that a little bit later on. But Alex, on Wednesday night, right here on HBC, your last home game was played already. So probably weird to think, right? You're a senior and now done with the home schedule.
Regular home schedule.
Regular
hopefully.
Season, right? Because we got playoffs to go to.
Hopefully. Yep. It's just gone so fast. It's really hard to believe that last night was our last regular season home game. So yeah, hopefully just focusing conference-wise that we can get that home playoff too. So kind of go from there.
You know, you look at your schedule, and the schedule really is pretty crazy when you think about how much you've played already. Now you played Wednesday night, and now you're off until the following Wednesday. Is it a good time to have a little bit of a break where you can actually kind of rest and maybe heal some of the bumps and bruises?
Yeah, for sure. Especially going off of last year. This is the time of the year last year we had a lot of injuries. Especially, I mean, for myself too. A year ago this weekend is when I tore my ACL and my meniscus. And then the team, following that weekend, we had the Eau Claire tournament last year. And we had a lot of girls out with back injuries. Just kind of those long, prolonging injuries that just kind of became a lot more prominent last year. So I think that having this weekend off is going to benefit us for sure, especially coming this last four game stretch, I guess. But it's definitely, I think, a time where we need these few days off, just kind of rest, regroup, and kind of get going to finish off really strong.
Okay, now I didn't want to bring it up, and since you did,
Sorry.
you already did. But can you talk a little bit about what last year was like for you? Because it had to be extremely difficult to have to sit on the bench and watch as everybody else is playing, as your knee is, in a brace, and you're not able to do what you really would obviously you'd love to do.
Yeah, it's definitely an injury I would never wish on anybody, and it's one of those, especially for an athlete, it's almost the worst injury you can kind of imagine, and just kind of when it happens. But there's nothing else. Once it happens, and you just have to kind of go with it and regroup. But definitely for being on the sidelines, there's definitely a different perspective that you get. There's a perspective of being a starter that you know you're playing right away. Then you have of just being kind of more of a bench, that you might get called in, you might not. And then there's where, for my case, at the end of the season last year, where you're for sure not going in. So you kind of almost get that more of like a coaching viewpoint. You see the court and the game a lot differently than if you're going in. You kind of watch the whole court rather than just either your position specifically. So it was kind of eye-opening in that aspect of just getting that different perspective, just knowing that I couldn't go any as bad as I wanted to. I couldn't go, So it was hard to get that perspective and kind of switching gears on that aspect, and then really focusing on my recovery and then trying to get back for this season. But it was definitely just kind of an eye-opener and trying to have that different drive and kind of bring a different energy from the court, since I couldn't give on the court and performing in that sense. It was more just bringing different energy and supporting and trying to give different viewpoints of what I thought I was seeing, from the coaches and all that kind of stuff too. So it's just a lot of different perspective.
Alex, do you think that has changed your game this year at all? Do you have kind of that coach's mindset when you're out there a little bit more?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, I coach our JO high school team too, so I kind of have sometimes a coaching mindset here and there. But yeah, it's definitely brought a different perspective of valuing every point that you're in, every time you're on that court too. It's just you value it so much more, just because every given play, something could happen where you might not be back on the rest of the season. So it's definitely, I really value it a lot more. And then just having, having those viewpoints and watching that perspective from last year really kind of changed my perspective on the game for this season as well, especially being my last season as a senior.
Right.
It's mentality-wise, it's much different.
From the time you suffered the injury to the start of this season, did you ever imagine you'd be second in the team in kills coming back this strong?
Honestly, no. Especially with an ACL injury, you really lose, hamstring and quad strength. And so I really thought, losing my vertical, I thought I was going to lose my vertical. So it was one of those two. It's just like, I thought I'd be timid. I didn't think I was going to hit as hard, hit as strong, be as consistent. So just one thing too. I didn't think I'd have the caliber as what I used to be. And my game has changed a little bit, but I've tried to, kind of set it aside and not really think about my knee and landing, because last spring I really worked hard on a lot of blocking and landing, because it's just being balanced, and so that was a lot of it. Last spring was a lot harder, but coming in this fall, I just kind of had to try and push it aside and just play and not focus on it. So.
And how hard is that? Because when you stepped on the court for the Sugarloaf Classic, first time back, are you worried about it? Are you able to put it aside and just focus on playing the game, or is it still kind of in the back of your mind?
Most of the time. There's sometimes in some sets where, it irritates me sometimes, where I do feel it, or I do kind of feel different things, and there might be an awkward ball that I might have to go after, and I land awkwardly, and I sometimes have a little cringe and kind of worry about it. But from all the rehab and everything you do, you wouldn't get cleared if you're not able to do those kinds of things and those movements. So you just have to trust. You have to put a lot of trust in your leg and your body, and just go with it. And if it happens, it's going to happen. But you can't. Worrying about it just makes it worse. And it's just, throughout the season, I've kind of pushed that aside. Initially, it was really tough, but now as the season's progressed, it's gotten a lot better.
And speaking of, now I voiced my opinion on last weekend, and I'm sure you do want to put it aside, but can you talk about that tournament and really what positives you can take out of those 4 matches?
Yeah, obviously coming out on 0-4 is just nothing that we wanted to do, and none of us thought that was going to happen. But there's a lot that we learned from. There's a lot of different. We ran a 5-1 on Saturday, and we haven't run a 5-1 at all this season. So there's a lot of different things we tried, different rotations that we tried too, and like you said earlier, there was great teams we played. We played some really strong, tough teams, and we didn't perform like I know we can, and that when all of us knew that we just didn't perform at our caliber that we usually can. But it's the same thing of, like you said, we just got to learn from it and move forward. And there's a lot of different smaller aspects that we're really focusing on and kind of tweaking and find those fine things that we just haven't looked at throughout the season too. So in a sense, losing is never fun, but like you said, it's a really good learning experience from that, and we took a lot out of it. We had a really good practice Monday and Tuesday, and it was just start off a good week coming off that weekend. So yeah, it'd be nice to set aside, but it's also a good learning experience for us. It was a tough weekend, but we have those and kind of brought things back for us. So
the interesting thing, as you said, learning is never fun, or losing is never fun. You haven't had to do that much this year. You were 16-3 going into that. Have you guys talked at all about the start to the season and how well you guys have started?
Yeah, like going into the season, we had set a bunch of team goals, and one of them was trying to be undefeated at home, which we lost to St. Ben's at home. But other than that, we've been doing pretty well. But we didn't really think. And we had, I think it was wanted to be 800 at tournaments, but it was just one of those that this weekend just didn't fit that goal for us, and that's okay. And we just take it, learn from it. We just kind of set it aside, and now we're really focusing on conference. It was going to be it was a good matchup, good fun to play those really tough teams, but we're really trying to focus on conference and conference first. I mean, obviously we have our goals of NCAA playoffs, hopefully too, but I mean, we're really, really focusing on conference first and doing that.
Alex, one more volleyball question for you before we get to some other things, and that is, I've commented to Donnie, this strikes me as one of the deepest volleyball teams in a long time.
Yes.
Would you say, at the outside hitter level, middle hitter level, setter, that this is probably the deepest you've seen during your time here?
Oh, for sure. Definitely, which is actually a pretty good strength for us because we're human. We're not going to play 110% every match or every practice, and which is really nice for us that we do have a deep bench, that we have girls that, if I'm not having a good match, I know that there's someone behind me that will come and play and that they step into that role, and that's just been nice that we're all human. We're not perfect. I mean, we're going to have those matches where it's just an off day. And so that's been a really, really key benefit, I think, for us, too, is just having that deep bench and that confidence with our teammates. Going into practice, it's compete. But when we go into a game setting, we support each other and push each other from that aspect and try and help each other, whether we're playing or we're not. So it's just, too, that mindset of between, practice and games of just the competing level and then supporting each other's teammates. So
talk a little bit about your role, I guess I'm speaking more of the seniors, off the court, because as we talked about with the soccer team, you guys have done so much for this team. Talk a little bit about this senior class and the importance of what you guys have done to make this team what it is right now.
I love our class. Our senior class has been so great, and we each individually bring so many different key aspects. With different, even position-wise, we have liberos, we have outsides, right sides, middles. I mean, we all have different positions. And then just even personality-wise, like we were talking about Lex earlier, and she has that fire all the time. She's just a little spitfire, always positive, always pushing each other. And you have Mackie, who's a big goofball, and we just, it's just each person brings something different to the table. And we really have that good balance and that really good team dynamic because of that. And I think that's just something, too, it's going to be hard to replace as personality-wise when it comes time for that after our season's over, which I really don't want to think about.
Alex, Donnie has one more question for you. But before we get to that, I want to ask her real quick about her biology major, pre-physical therapy major. Tell us what you hope to do with that and what you love about the biology major at St. Mary's.
Initially, I knew I wanted to do biology coming into St. Mary's, but I really didn't know what career path I wanted to do actually until after my injury. So I got to see a lot of different things of PAs and PTs and what they do in different areas and specialties. And I really fell in love with orthopedics, and I'm weirdly enough kind of obsessed with the knee now, and I just think it's an amazing joint. Mm-hmm. So I mean, a high goal for me for sure is PA school and going to be a PA and hopefully orthopedics or sports med. And then I've also considered too as PT of doing sports med of that related too. So it's just one of those, I think, as bad as a tragic event it was also something kind of eye-opening and really directed my choice in my life path, I guess.
Donnie,
okay.
The last question.
Well, I don't know if a lot of people know, but at the start of every season, I hand out a questionnaire. An athlete questionnaire has a number of different questions that I ask all the athletes just to kind of get to know them and use for specific things. And for Alex, there's one thing she cannot live without, and it's Taquito, her panda pillow. So I just want to know about that. We have this senior in college who can't live without a panda pillow.
Did she bring it with her today?
So tell me about Taquito. Am I pronouncing it right?
Yeah, Taquito. Okay. Taquito is my pillow pet. He's a panda, obviously, since you said that. I got him for Christmas my senior year of high school, and I took him with me on our senior trip. He's a pillow and a pet. So, you get both a little cuddling and for a pillow on the bus trip. So, obviously, it comes with all of our road games. But he's just one of those things that I just have had since senior year, and I don't know. Some girls have blankies still and blankets, so I don't have a blankie, but I Taquito comes with me on every road trip, and he's just one of those that's been with me on all these roadies, so might as well.
It's a double
I gotta have
benefit.
him. Exactly, he's a pillow and a
That's right,
pet.
a
You know,
pillow
you
and a
can't get
pet.
anything
Good
better.
for you.
All right, Alex Peterson, thanks a lot for being on the show. Good luck here the rest of the season.
Thank you.
All right, stay tuned. Donnie and I will be back to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest on HBC.
Tune in for the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 as a panel of local sports journalists tackle the hottest topics on everything from local high school and collegiate sports to regional discussion about the Twins, Brewers, Vikings, and Packers. With the Power Play Fantasy Football Challenge to the Rant of the Week and NFL Pick'em, the Sports Buzz is fast-paced and sure to entertain. That's new episodes of the Sports Buzz every Tuesday at 5:30 with replays only on HBC TV 25.
At HBC, we know it's often the little details that the customer will remember, and that's why we are committed to being attentive in all facets of our business. We strive to provide industry-leading products and services, all while providing unparalleled personal care. HBC's customer service and technical support are provided locally within each service market and are available by phone or by visiting the local offices. Call 888-474-9995 and start experiencing the HBC difference today.
HBC Sports has your volleyball fix this season as your exclusive home for St. Mary's volleyball throughout the fall. The 2015 Cardinals will look to build on an impressive 20-13 mark a year ago, and you'll get to watch it happen with 5 matches brought to you live on TV 25. For the full broadcast schedule, simply visit hbci.com/sports for details to find out when the Redbirds will take the court. That's St. Mary's volleyball all season long, only on HBC Sports.
And we're back to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest here on HBC TV 25. Donnie, Alex Peterson, impressive interview there. And she's gone through so much to get back to this point her senior year.
Yeah, and you know, I know personally what she went through and the hard work that she put in her rehab, because I was doing my shoulder rehab at the same time. And to see her come along and be, you know, as competitive and really be as dominant as she is right now really is a testament to the person that she is and the drive and the intestinal fortitude that she has. Very proud of what she's done.
All right, Donnie, always great doing the show with you. We're going to leave you now with the sights and sounds of men's soccer, courtesy of St. Mary's University student and HBC's very own Nathan Voller, the sights and sounds of St. Mary's men's soccer. Thanks for watching.
I go.